On this week's episode, Disney shows off some light and magic. Batfleck just can't stay away from DC. And we cannot tell a lie, it's the Battle of Pinocchios. All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, and whatever we do here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, because we are the number one tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook with over 10 hours, closing in on 20 hours of action each and every week from the world of tabletop RPG action, including Vampires and Vitae and everything that goes on with the Demolition Force and the great weekend games run by DM Mitch. It is such a great time indeed. And to check it all out, you just pop on by the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page, where you can also catch the latest news and trends in pop culture. Plus, also check out our site at popculturecosmos.com. And if you could do all that, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is always the good man that's a happy hoarder because he's happy hoarding right here for us at the Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out what he's doing today at the Happy Hoarder, plus also as well his great work at the Super BS Gamescast, plus his amazing book, Congratulations, You Suck, which you got to go ahead and get today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon, of course. It is my good friend. It is Josh Culture Cosmos, aka Josh Peterson. I'm just so happy to go ahead and have another edition with you, my friend. But I got to start off with the famous words. What's up, man?
What's up? Isn't that how people used to do it on the podcast? Like, what's up, everybody? That was like the theme opening.
That
Yeah,
was from the old 90s.
the old.
There.
You know
Is it
what?
Bud,
Like,
Bud Light, or what? I forget.
it was Budweiser, but like they don't make like. Why doesn't Budweiser make commercials anymore? Do you think?
I don't know. They usually trot out the old Clydesdales like once a year just to remind
Mm-hmm.
us and that they are have the relationship with
Like,
the horses, but actually which actually does not have anything to do with beer, but
no, but
Clydesdale.
it's like Budweiser used to like be king of commercials, and then Bud Light was doing some fun stuff for a while, and then they stopped. I don't know, man. I just like maybe their marketing is not sorry, my dog's barking here. Maybe their marketing's not as effective anymore. I don't know. I miss those commercials though. They're fun. They give me a chuckle when they were on.
Well, there you go. Just chuckling at those Clydesdales indeed. But we've got a great show lined up. I know you had a question you want to go ahead and touch on before I go ahead and mention the entire, or I run down the list of what's coming up on the show. I know you had a question for me.
I do. I do. All right. So, we haven't really had a chance, and I know you've probably talked about this with Melinda, since it's Revelation, I guess you could say, the grand reveal of the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
This movie seems to take on a very comedic tone, like a very like they're trying to be really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, do you think that that is counterproductive to the Dungeons and Dragons brand? Like, I know that a lot of people play these games. It's like, yeah, let's get drunk with my buddies and we'll play a campaign, or like Stranger Things has kind of made it where it's more of a serious thing. What do you think about this, man? Because like this, I look at Dungeons and Dragons and I think to myself, like, we don't have a lot of high epic fantasy properties like out there being made anymore, right? We have like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. I guess one could argue that like what's that show on Amazon with what's her the blonde lady? What's her name? Wheel of Time? Is that
Oh,
what it
Wheel
is?
of Time. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So we have that, but we don't really like have a lot of other things out there, and like looking at this Dungeons and Dragons, like seeing how bad the last movie they tried to make flopped, like it feels like a missed opportunity to like create an epic.
Well, the thing is, though, I think with the limited budget that they have, I mean, we're still talking about tens of millions of dollars. I think that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast that are helping front this movie, I think they're probably what right around 100, maybe the low 100 million dollars as far as the budget, what it eventually ultimately will come out to be. I think that they just are trying to make it approachable for a wider audience as opposed to just try to corner it to a Dungeons and Dragons audience, which even they will admit is larger than probably what they understand what it is. It's probably as larger, it's probably a lot larger than what they think it is. And they're just scared though that if they cater it to that specific audience, however large it is, they're still not sure if that individual audience will go ahead and droves and continue to support a film like that. So they thought they would go ahead and make it more broad based, more comedic based. I know Chris Pine is not the first person I would actually get for leading a Dungeons and Dragons movie. It was kind of weird as far as his selection is concerned, but I enjoyed I enjoyed the trailer. I thought it was kind of delightful for me. I thought the fact that he is in his full Captain Kirk mode from the Star Trek movies. I think that
Yeah.
probably is appealing to what I think that they wanted to go ahead and come across at Hasbro. The reason why is because they are harkening back to 2008 and the original rebooted Star Trek movie and how he was in that movie and how well it came over and across to a crowd. In fact, yes, it made $400 million at the box office, but the fact is it's been one of the most replayed movies of the last decade on cable, streaming, whatever broadcast, whatever TV outlet you have out there. I think
Right.
that's what they wanted to go ahead and do is recreate that kind of magic. I proposed to Melinda on that on the show we discussed it that I think that they should do a TV show instead of a movie. I think that they should approach it like, okay, let's say that you have the group of actors sitting around a table playing an actual game with the dungeon master, giving the instructions. You're on this treacherous walk through a mysterious forest, and then he just leads you into the beginning episode where it actually leads you into the actual adventure itself. You could do
Mhm.
the crossfade where it actually comes into the rest of the show is dealt with what happens in a course of across of an actual episode. And then obviously you interrupt that every now and then with rolls as far as whether good or bad as far as okay, let's somebody say somebody rolls a nat 1 or a nat 20, that could totally affect the outcome of what's going on in the episode. I'm hoping that they actually go ahead and do something like that ultimately because that actually advertises the game itself better than what
Right.
this movie does. But
Yeah.
this movie may just spark an interest with a general audience and thus may bring in an audience that might not be as familiar with the Dragon scenario and may want to test it out. But I think it's just reaching out to a broader audience, which again, when you're putting up 80 to 120 million dollars, which is the reported budget in regards to this, I think that's what you got to do to feel when you feel safe as a company to try and go ahead and market this because Hasbro, remember, they got burned by Snake Eyes last year with
Yeah,
Henry
correct.
Golding. Yeah,
Mhm.
literally, they got burned with Snake Eyes. So
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to go ahead and trying to make this as approachable as possible to a larger audience. And Melinda, who is a huge fan of tabletop RPG role playing games, that of course, what she does with every week with Vampires of Vitae and the Demolition Force, she likes it and she is huge into it. I've seen the reactions from the crowd that interacts with the pop culture cosmos. They seem to, for the most part, think it's not terrible. So I think that they're willing to go ahead and be open minded about it. But you're right. I know there is some type of discussion within the actual confines of the different various groups that they wanted it more true to life as far as what the game is all about.
Right, right, and, again, like, I don't have any qualms one way or the other, like, I'll watch it, seems like a fun movie, it just, I don't know, like, it feels like it suffers from, like, wanting to remake what Marvel is doing, like, they
Well, that's
have
what
this.
the ultimate goal is. I think they want a franchise out of it.
No, I mean, just like in the tone of the movie though,
Yeah.
like it has to everything had and that's the thing though too, like with every action movie now that comes out has to be funny. That's because like Marvel has kind of created that expectation.
I've actually seen an article that compares that Dungeons and Dragons movie to a Marvel movie as far as that type of tone
Okay, so I'm not the only one who thinks
no,
that.
no,
Okay.
you're actually right on that. But I still think it's a safer way to go. I didn't say it
Mhm.
was the best way to go. Again, I like I said, I would rather actually do a series and actually base it off the tone of an actual game, and then it fades into that type of scenario as you play out the game and cuts back and
Right.
forth, mainly focusing on the world itself. And you could go ahead and do that. I think that would probably be a better representative, almost like a commercial for the game. But again, when you're spending that kind of money, you got to go ahead and try and make things safe. I know we talk about how these studios try to always play it safe when it comes to the movies that they're doing. But again, that's just neither here nor there. I think you just got to go ahead and roll with the punches
Mhm.
and understand that when you're spending $100 million to make a movie, I think playing safe to a general audience, especially a worldwide audience, may
Yeah.
be the best thing for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I honestly like it looks fun, looks like it could be cool. I guess I just wanted to like pick your brain on it, see what you thought.
I mean, I'll watch it either way because it looks fun, like I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, if you want a better representation of what Dungeons and Dragons is all about, kind of go into a series or a movie that you would think that might be better commercial and advertisement for the game itself. But again, when you're spending that kind of money, you can't really argue with a Hasbro that's saying, you know what, maybe we want to just go ahead and play it safe for now, and then
Yeah.
maybe go from there.
Right, right.
Well, we got a great episode on tap. Just want to mention that John Orlando from the PVD cast is back. He's going to be talking about what happened this weekend at SummerSlam for the WWE, the first supposedly post Vince McMahon esque pay per view. So we'll talk about that. Plus Ric Flair's last match, and I always say that with Vince McMahon because he's on the phone. He's on the phone somewhere in Connecticut, just going ahead and saying, you know what, I'd like it like this. I want to see it like that. So you know that even though he's supposedly retired, I still think he has his fingers on the pulse of what's going on. But we're going to be talking about that here in a bit. Plus, also as well, we're going to be talking about the Battle of Pinocchios. Guillermo del Toro versus Disney. So we'll talk about the Battle of Pinocchios. That's coming up in the bit as well. Plus, a price hike could be in order for PS5 and Xbox Series X. Is that possible? We'll talk about how the MetaQuest 2 decision might be factoring into that. That's coming up here in a bit. There's also as well Light and Magic, Batfleck, and so much more right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But I want to mention first off, it is the box office and give everybody a recap what happened this weekend. I want to mention that the DC League of Super Pets was the big winner, I guess, if you can say that, with a paltry $23 million. The box office does not look like it will probably earn its money back, or at least make a profit, because the fact that it has to go a long way, even overseas, to earn the $90 million plus back that it actually took in as far as what it took cost to make. So that's a movie that's really not going to overall do so well, even though it's fronting The Rock. We'll talk about The Rock here in a second. But
They've
Josh,
got
any
a
thoughts?
continuity problem, man. I mean, they can't have The Rock be two characters in the DCU. I mean, this is just this completely unheard of.
In Marvel Land, not. I will say that.
Did you see that? There's what was that meme going around where they're saying like, was that Randall Pack? Was that the guy's name that plays
Randall Park.
Randall Park? Yeah, they're saying that they have a continuity issue because how can he be Jim in The Office? Remember from that? There's an
Yes.
episode, yeah, and they're like, how can he be Jim in The Office and be the guy in Ant-Man and also be Mr. Fantastic? You have to see it to understand it, but
Yeah,
anyways,
absolutely.
it made me
I
chuckle.
know which one you're talking about. I know which
Yeah.
one you're talking about, indeed. But We also got Haley Steinfeld, who plays Spider Gwen in
Mhm.
the Sony Spider Verse movies, but also as well is the new Hawkeye. So that's kind of a thing there. Just wanted to point that out
Right.
to everyone.
Yeah. Hey, did you see, I'm sorry, I know there's a rabbit hole right now, but, like, did you see they have the, Madam Web movie, and in the newspapers, there's, like, a reference to Spider-Man 2. So I'm seeing all these, like, Sonyverse movies, and the tone is so dark, it doesn't feel like it can exist in the Tobey Maguire movie universe. I keep like, it feels like they're better off in the Andrew Garfield universe, but what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know as far. I mean, I would say the Andrew Garfield universe. I think he is more excited about trying to come back into the Spider Verse. I think he's expressed those thoughts on more than one occasion. I
Mhm.
know both have expressed their thoughts on wanting to come back. They're both excited about coming back. I know the Tobey Maguire universe would be more approachable because it was the more successful of the two Spider Verses previously. So I'm assuming that if it is going to touch on the first Spider Verse, then I think that probably would be the best. But I think Andrew Garfield Spider Verse, I think he's getting a lot of good pub.
Yeah.
I think the Andrew Garfield is being retconned in our minds as far as how good it was or bad it was, but I think a lot of people are actually enjoying the or thinking the prospects of an Andrew Garfield return as Spider-Man. I think it would be a good one because people are actually more interested in it now than more.
Right.
They're more interested now than they were previously when he was actually
Yeah.
fronting the
He
Spider-Man movie.
and, I think in the last Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and them, like, I think that he really proved that he is a Spider-Man, like,
Yeah,
he was yeah. Anyways, I'm
absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. Yeah, I mean, just something that again we'll see. I know Adam Scott from Severance, one of my favorite shows of the year. He is actually signed on to be a part of Madam Web. So we'll see what happens when Madam Web comes out. But the rest of the box office is again pretty paltry right now. I do want to congratulate one of the best movies of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is now the first A24 movie to actually go over $100 million worldwide. So that
Did
is a
you did you
tremendous movie.
see it? Is it good? Like, I keep having my finger over that, like, rent button on Prime, and I'm like, "Do I have time to sit here and watch this? Is it worth my time?"
It
Which is
will. I will just say it will be at the end of the year spoken about as far as when we do our best of. That's
okay,
all I will
alright,
say. Can't say where, but it will actually be a very much a part of that conversation because
okay,
it was emotional. It was fantastical. It's the best multiverse movie that's out there to
and
date.
I
So
I love Michelle Yeoh, like, she is anything she's in, like, I will watch. She's
yeah, she
amazing.
killed it. She absolutely killed it. If she does not get an Academy Award nomination for this movie, I
Mhm,
think it is a travesty of the highest order. But
yeah.
that's just me talking right there. But before we head on out, my friend, to the break, and our good friend, Mr. John Orlando, once again, I wanted to go ahead and ask you real quick with what's going on with the box office because after Brad Pitt and Bullet Train, it goes like a bullet train down, down, down for quite some time with the box office with several weeks of movies that are really not going to grab the attention of folks until I think October and Black Adam. So your thoughts on this, my friend? Because again, I mean, we will have films that we will talk about over the coming weeks, but none of these films are going to be grabbing the worldwide attention until maybe even Wakanda Forever. Because if Black Adam tanks for any reason, it could be a while until we see a hit movie once again.
Well, let's do it. If we recap what happened at Comic-Con, like, a lot of people sounded like they were pretty upset with The Rock, and his references to, Superman, the casting of Superman,
Because
so
he wasn't there, and that was out of
he
his.
wasn't there, yeah,
Yeah.
but he was still taking pictures next to the suit, but then The Rock had said, "Depends on who plays him," which alluded to the fact that Henry Cavill might not be coming back. Anyways, that's all hearsay. I'm hopeful that Black Adam will be good, but, I mean, looking at the box office, so, like, I mean, Doctor Strange seems to like slowly be creeping up to that $1 billion mark. Jurassic Park has kind of
You
made a
still
lot
want
of
to put that in?
it's making strides a little bit. I see it's at 923 million right now. So
No, it's at 950. It's right around 950.
oh, is it okay? I'm looking
Yes.
at the I have it
Yeah.
on Box Office Mojo. Anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I there's nothing I haven't seen Top Gun yet, but of all the things I have seen, like I don't wouldn't really label anything like $1 billion movie. Will Black Adam change that? Black Adam looks awesome,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. Like I've been watching the DCU films with my kids because they haven't seen them yet. So last night we got to about halfway through Batman vs Superman, and what was really able, like in the pre-stages of Marvel, you were able to like see where the films were going. So like it made it feel like everything was worth your time. But now you're watching DC and like I will go see Black Adam, but do I need to see it? I don't feel like it's calling to me by any means because I don't know where it's going. They've already laid the groundwork for like all these cool stories like Dark Side and all this, and now we're not going to be able to see the rest of that come to life. So it's unmotivating to watch DC films right now, I guess is what I'm saying.
I guess I can't blame you for saying that, but I was more excited about DC going into Comic Con. Now I'm less excited about the DC universe coming out of Comic Con, and I
Mhm.
think that Warner Brothers is has a great deal to blame. Yes, some of it is based off of controversy. I'll get you that. I'll give you that with Flashpoint, and of course, what's going on with Amber Heard and Aquaman 2. But
Yeah.
I
Do
mean,
you
Batfleck is coming back in Aquaman 2. I
Right,
mean,
right.
yes, we heard this week that with Jason Momoa appearing with Ben Affleck, the recently married Ben
Mhm.
Affleck, that he's actually going to make an appearance. I think Ben Affleck likes it that way. I don't think we'll ever see another full Batman movie with him, but I think that you can go ahead and talk him into guest
Ye
appearances now and then on other
yeah.
DC movies.
Well, I was reading something interesting with him, and he said that what really made killed the role for him was everything that happened on the Justice League set with Joss Whedon, and he's
Mhm.
saying like that put him in such a bad mindset that he was like, "This is bad for me. I can't do this anymore." But now he's like seems to be happier, whether it's after rehab or Jennifer Lopez or whatever. Like he just seems to be in a better mindset. But this leads me to my next question. Like, what's the point of having him cameo in these movies if they're not going to continue the story that was what the groundwork for what Zack Snyder laid out? Do you think that not finishing, and they don't even have to have Zack Snyder finish his story. They can bring on another director, but I mean like they've opened the gates for Darkseid, right? Like that is the Thanos of DC. Like do you think it's a detriment to them to not see that through?
The only thing is, well, to answer that, I can't. I really can't answer that until we see Flashpoint, because does his character get killed off in Flashpoint? Because we were led to believe that that would be his final performance when
Right.
Flashpoint. At least it was
Yeah.
kind of hinted towards that direction. But if that's the case, we'll see. But I don't know. I'm not sure yet because the fact
Mm.
that we haven't seen Flashpoint, because Flashpoint is supposed to be the retconning of all retcons when it comes to the DC
Yeah.
universe.
But
And if
it
that's the case, I'm not sure. But I think I would have liked to have seen the Snyderverse vision for the Justice League. I would have liked to have seen that come to fruition. I know we talked about the actual League of Supervillains. I would have loved to see that play out, like my Saturday morning cartoons of
Mhm.
old, as far as the Super Friends versus the Super Villains,
Yeah.
the Hall of Justice and all that. But I don't think
It's
that'll ever come to pass. I thought that was a missed
yeah.
opportunity right there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree, man. And like even if they like retcon everything that's happened, like it's still like that ultimate tease. It's Dark Side, man. It's Dark Side. Why would you not finish that? Like that could have been beautiful. And now you're like, oh, it just never happened. Like
yeah,
that would be there'd be a lot of angry people out there.
it's
They're not
very
doing themselves
indecisive.
any favors, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, you're right on that. Absolutely. I think that's something that they should have completed. Let Zack Snyder or someone that would actually continue Zack Snyder's vision,
Mhm.
if you were really like mad at Zack Snyder, to go ahead and complete. But again, we haven't seen what's upcoming in Flashpoint. How much does it take the eraser to the dry board of the DC universe and just like
Yeah. Right.
just like
Right.
erase it all out and just smooth it all out into something a little bit different. So We'll wait and see. Again, we've also had those properties like the Batman and
Hmm.
the Joker, which are taking place in different timelines. So we don't know exactly how that fits, or if they're going to try and make it fit, or if they're going to try and shoehorn it in. So I'm going to reserve my judgment until we see Flashpoint, whenever that comes out. Still hoping that they will go ahead and pop in Grant Gustin to refilm those scenes just to avoid any controversy there. I think that's just me saying that, but I don't know if that's going to actually materialize. But I know that at some point in time, DC is going to have to showcase Flashpoint if they want to go ahead and do a reboot of the DC universe.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is I think we're in agreement on this DC issue here.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have loved though a Hall of Villains. I mean, a Hall of Justice versus a League of Supervillains. That would have been
Well,
just
that
fantastic.
would be amazing. Did you see Justice League Dark, the animated one?
Hmm.
Can you imagine if that were turned into like a real, like a live action movie, just like how amazing that could be?
Just something right there. Many ideas off the page that they could go ahead and borrow from, but they choose to
Mhm.
do something different, and I guess we're going to have to deal with it moving forward.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts out there on the box office and the movies upcoming for the next few weeks, plus the DC universe and where it stands? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, and my good friend Mr. John Orlando talking SummerSlam and the Nature Boy Ric Flair one last time for one last match, wanted to go ahead and before we hit the break, talk about some Light and Magic, which is a new docu-series on Disney Plus showcasing Industrial Light and Magic, one of the premier studio houses for special effects. As someone who in the 90s actually dabbled with a couple special effects companies, I found it, at least the beginning parts and the creation of what ILM does and the creation of ILM itself and some of the techniques that I was using back when I was back when I was working in the industry in the 90s, the infancy of how it all came to be and how it led to Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. The first three episodes were really intriguing and interesting. I think the series kind of fades a little bit towards the end because then it's just a kind of like a pat yourself on the back on this is what we've done lately since then.
Hmm.
And because of the fact that I think all these studio houses are now in heavy competition with ILM. For a while, it was ILM and everybody else, but now I think we're at a point with technology that it has now made a more even playing field in regards to across the board when it comes to special effects. But I still found the first 2 to 3 episodes of Light and Magic very interesting. Any thoughts on ILM, aka Light and Magic, on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I saw it pop up there, when I was turning on cartoons for my kids, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it. I really enjoyed what was the making of Star Wars one that was it was a YouTube documentary, and then it was put
Hmm.
on Disney Plus.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that, and like I teach digital media at the school I work at, so I've shown a lot of a lot of things from like Roger Deakins is someone who I really love because he just the way that he's able to, one of our favorite people, the way
Yep.
he's able to use just average lights that he buys from Home Depot to create these like beautiful effects, and like all this stuff is incredibly fascinating. Like I think that we have a tendency as an audience to look at a movie at face value without, and I've talked about this before about, not appreciating like what goes into making it, like the thought processes and things like that. So I think this is a really cool way to like bring attention to the art that is film. And, I do really want to take some time to sit down and watch this.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, my friend. I think this is going to be something that if people, at least the first 2 episodes, 3 episodes, they check it out, they will go ahead and see a lot of great things behind the scenes in the creation of Star Wars. What a gamble it was, the problems continuously behind the scenes. I love the fact that ILM would be in California trying to go ahead and build the equipment and trying to go ahead and get everything done while George Lucas was actually filming a lot of the scenes in London. Then he would be coming back and looking as far as getting an update on where things were at as far as, okay, guys, I've got a lot of shots there going. What's going on? How
Mhm.
many shots do we have? We have three. We have three shots, and there's like, you had to go ahead and break the news to them that you've been spending most of your time trying to build this equipment from scratch that will revolutionize the industry. And you've
It's
got a movie coming out in just a few months, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, all you've given him is three shots to work with so far. So yeah, that was
it's
kind of a funny point right there.
yeah, well, I mean, even like you hear about things like that, right? With like like the I don't know if you ever watched the making of Jaws, right? When like they
Yeah.
had to create all these like camera rigs in order to like make the shark not look like it was a robot, and
And
like
then
it's
that's
just
what you see in Light and Magic. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
yeah, and you like don't. There's so many interesting stories out there about stuff like this. Like I don't know about you, like one of my favorite things about physical media is watching the special features, and I know
Right.
like you don't really get that with digital stuff anymore.
And if you are interested in that, then I do suggest Light and Magic. It's now available on Disney Plus. At least the first three episodes that gets you up to speed on the creation of what went on behind the scenes at ILM as far as the beginnings through Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. So if you want to check that out, it's available right now. Light and Magic on Disney Plus. What are your thoughts out there on what's going on with Disney Plus, Light and Magic, or anything going on in the world of pop culture? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, it's my good friend Mr. John Orlando from the PVD cast. He's coming back to recap SummerSlam, the post Vince McMahon era, and Ric Flair's final match. We think we're not 100% sure because it's the professional wrestling industry, but hey, it's billed as the last match, so we'll call it the last match, even though he had his last match almost 20 years ago. But again, I digress.
Nature
Well,
of the beast.
nature of the beast indeed. But we'll talk about a lot of things concerning pro wrestling and the post Vince McMahon era. We'll talk about that coming up after the break. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show's the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to thank so much John Orlando from the PVD Cast stopping by. Remember, we're the number one tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook right here at Pop Culture Cosmos. Plus, we cover the world of pop culture each and every day with some great articles right there for you and all the latest news and info right there for your Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. But before we head on out, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and touch on a couple things. I know we touched on the Friday show the backlash and the anger and the outrage that now MetaQuest 2 is now $100 more expensive than it was last week after the announcement by Meta saying it was Meta to go ahead and raise the price of MetaQuest 2 by $100 for their VR equipment, which has gotten gamers and users out there in an uproar, and they are not pleased at all about the price hike on it, which has led a lot of people to speculate, could the same thing be happening in the future, in the not too distant future, for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X? PlayStation has been mum in regards to a inquiry about that price hike. Xbox has said nothing either. Your thoughts on the possibility of this happening? I don't see a price hike to $600 and beyond being a good thing for either one of those. We saw what happened to the PlayStation 3 when they came out at a paltry price. Your thoughts on a possible price hike for the PS5 and Xbox Series X?
So okay, so we're talking about the consoles in general, not
Yeah,
just
or and also the
the
Xbox Series
peripheral.
S, yeah, which is
Yeah,
299. That also
okay.
could be affected as well.
I mean, I don't really see I mean, historically, that's never happened before. Like, I don't foresee it happening because usually if they're going to hike the price, they wrap it up, right? They wrap it up in a new package of something like
A
we have
bundle type.
the or a bundle or like we have the PS4 Pro or the Xbox whatever what was the small white
Well,
one,
the
the 10
Switch, for instance, with the new LED screen.
Right, right. They usually repackage it to make it seem like you're getting something, cool in there that you probably won't realize is there. If you're asking him if do I think they're just going to take the base consoles and raise the prices, I don't see them doing that. In the world of VR, though, like I do, like I can totally imagine, people being fine paying the extra $100 for a PSVR headset versus Meta, because if you look at like Sony has proven themselves time and time again, whereas like Facebook keeps promising these things over and over again, and that just so far they haven't pulled through with anything.
Well, MetaQuest 2 is right now the number one VR headset on the marketplace just because PlayStation VR itself is so old, comparatively speaking, on the marketplace. Everybody's still waiting for PlayStation VR 2 to come out. I know that a price has not been mentioned, a street date has not been mentioned, just the existence only has been mentioned is the PSVR 2. So I still think that MetaQuest is a meta fail, especially with how large MetaQuest is. I understand they lost $2 billion last quarter, and that wasn't a good sign for them, but they are large enough to go ahead and say, we're going to go ahead and apply the needed uptick in costs in other areas outside the base unit. They could have done something better that would have, I guess, alleviated their concerns on price or revenue or things of that nature instead of out and out just raising the price $100. I think that's a terrible move, especially coming up for the holidays.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and honestly, any discussion of it is bad publicity in itself. So
Yeah.
I would stay as far away from that as possible, especially, as we're going to be, what we're going to be talking on some extra content here tomorrow, the fact that there's no like promise of anything really solid coming out for the holidays. So like
Yeah.
why is, with the and we don't even know like some of the stuff that's been announced, like God of War Ragnarok, is it going to get pushed? We don't know, so like is talking about a price hike really the best thing if there's no motivation to go out and buy anything?
And you're already seeing the numbers right now as far as gaming for this year being down dramatically.
Mhm.
But then again, that compares to the past 2 years, which were two of the highest years ever for the video game industry as far as overall revenue because everybody was stuck at home,
Yeah.
quarantining. So, what do? You go on and go ahead and play some games. So a lot of people did. Now that people are out and about in the world, things are looking a little bit different. Plus, the many delays for games into 2023 and beyond have
Yeah.
created a different marketplace. I said before, again, a couple weeks ago, that I thought this was one of the worst years ever for video games.
Hmm.
And I'm sticking by it. Nothing is changing my mind on that at this point.
Yeah, we've had a lot of like releases compacted into each other and not like a steady string of releases. So, looking at the holiday season, it scares me knowing that nobody has really made any solid announcements that anything's coming out, so that does make me nervous.
I got to spend more money on the kids this Christmas. I can't spend more money on video
That was
games.
See, that was my
Gosh
favorite
darn
part.
it.
Right, that was my favorite part about shopping during the holidays was like, I put something in the cart, one for the kids, one for me.
Yes, that's what I would do too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely indeed. Shh, don't tell the missus.
Oh
I'm gonna
man, honey,
I'm
Christmas
gonna
is really
sneak
expensive this year.
I'm gonna sneak in this Call of Duty right in here for you, right
Yeah,
there. Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
You kids will love it. You kids will love it. In 10 years, you'll love it because I'm
It's
gonna play it now.
Yeah, it's
That's
for
okay.
you. It's for your future.
Yeah, exactly. It's M rated, so you really can't play it now. So I got to try it out for you to make sure it's acceptable for you.
For 10 years, I'm gonna test it.
Exactly. There you go, indeed. But if you have any thoughts out there on a possible price hike for PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo for that matter, which could be very concerning, please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, it's been a great episode. One last thing before we head on out, or anything that you want to touch on as well. Of course, we're talking about the Battle of Pinocchios. My nose is growing a little bit longer, my friend, but I cannot tell a lie. There are two upcoming Pinocchio movies in the works that are going to be released here by the end of the year. And it's so funny, my friend, because this industry that we watch, especially entertainment industry, oh, Pinocchio. I haven't we haven't touched on it in a while. Let's go ahead and do a movie. Then someone else goes, "Oh, Disney's doing a movie on Pinocchio. We got to do a movie on Pinocchio." It just seems like that always comes out in like twos when it touches on something like the volcano, what is it, the
The
volcano
Jungle Book.
movies, the
Jungle
jungle,
Book, remember? Yeah.
yeah, the volcano movies. Remember when they came out in the '90s with Tommy Lee Jones and Pierce Brosnan? They came out with the separate volcano movies, and yeah, it just it's always funny how they always come out in twos like that when they come out with an idea or a harkening back to something or something like that. So when it comes down to it, in the next few months, actually coming up, I believe in early September, is Pinocchio 2022 movie from Disney that's going to be directed by Robert Zemeckis. In fact, it comes out September 8th. That's the movie with Tom Hanks, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Lorraine Bracco. And then you have in December, the trailer just came out last week for the full trailer, because all we've got was a teaser previously, is the Guillermo del Toro version of Pinocchio, which is going to be out there coming up very soon on December the 1st. And that features the cast of starring Ian McGregor as far as in the lead role, as far as that, for that movie. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. I know Guillermo del Toro it's a big time director for you. He just someone who has fascinated you with projects all abound. That's really why I wanted to touch on today. But your thoughts, no lie, my friend, no lie, as my nose gets bigger and bigger on thoughts of what this Pinocchio battle will do. I mean, by the time it gets to December the 1st, will people get kind will people get kind of tired of Pinocchio with, because they've already seen the Disney Plus version before it comes out on Netflix?
Yeah, I mean, I always wonder if these release dates are coincidence or if it's, careful planning. Looking at it though, I don't mean to like have a cop out to this question, but Disney has not been hitting the mark with these live action films. So it's very possible that Pinocchio could come out and just do horribly. And then,
But
people
Tom
be like,
Hanks, though, man.
right, right. But I mean, Disney, like I said, Disney does not, despite the actor, like Disney does not have a good track record with like their stuff's just been okay. It's been okay. Like there's no live action Disney movie that's come out that I've hated. It's just been okay. And
Okay.
with Pinocchio especially is hard because like that even the cartoon like gives little kids nightmares, like it's a difficult property to adapt.
Does he
And
go all Pan's Labyrinth on us?
I think that that's what Guillermo's version is going to end up doing. It's going to go
Oh,
Pan's
man.
Labyrinth. Like he plays into your nightmares. Like that's what he does, and I think that if people want a more horror film version of Pinocchio, then Guillermo del Toro's is definitely going to be the version for you.
What are your thoughts out there on the Battle of Pinocchios coming up later this year in September with the Disney Plus version of Pinocchio, and then in December with Guillermo del Toro's version of Pinocchio? No lie indeed. Please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough, as always, for stopping by. But I would be doing my Max Headroom impersonation right now, but I really can't do that because Max Headroom has been rumored to go ahead and be rebooted for AMC, starring the original character who played, the original actor who played Max Headroom, in Matt Frewer. So I'm excited for that as someone who actually watched the one of the 12 people that's still alive that actually watched the series back in the day. But any last thoughts on our way out?
No, sorry, I'm just responding to Rob McCallum commented on our page here on our
Uh oh,
live
that's
stream
always
here.
scary.
And he was saying, you can't. We're talking about the D&D earlier, and he's saying you can't be Lord of the Rings because there already is one. And this is very true. Like Lord of the Rings, it sets the bar so high. I guess like what I'm trying to say is like I just wish that there were more like good fantasy stories out there. Like you turn on the TV or you turn on your favorite streaming service, there's horror movies just everywhere. There's drama and comedy movies just everywhere. But like fantasy things are very few and far between. So I guess like that's why I was posing that question about D&D. But Lord of the Rings, like I feel like you'll never top having such a great story. Though I am curious to see what Netflix is doing with the Narnia stuff that they're allegedly working on.
And of course, Disney with Aragon. They announced Aragon that will be in production. I think it's a series. So, yeah, that's funny because, of course, Mr. Nintendo himself, Mr. Nintendo Quest himself, Rob McCallum, always ends the show with his words: scrap D&D and tick off that community and put in a Captain N, the Game Master, instead. Well,
Rob,
only he would bring that up. Only he
no,
would bring that.
Rob, you gotta be on the show sometime, man. We miss you.
We miss you, my friend. Absolutely. Hope all is well with you. But again, we truly appreciate you watching and listening out there and always being a part of the pop culture cosmos. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day right here in paradise in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great